some of the new generational people, they almost want to pretend like traditional values don't exist. Following the leader in the household doesn't exist. Yeah. And it's like, well, listen, at the end of the day, the king builds the empire and the queen protects the king. And guess what? When you play that right, you're right by the king's side. It's not like 100%. King's in front, queen's behind, follow me. Like they got you right by their side, and we're fucking taking on war together. Yeah. And they kind of, I don't know what it is that the shit that they're preaching these days, and just what's happened in the last 10 years as far as moral ethics, but really the last 10 years I've seen things just kind of flip, where morals and values and being out of line or not whatnot is just it's non-existent.
Nothing's sacred anymore. Like respect is like a really rare commodity, which guys that pay respect, it gives us a huge advantage. But like, you know, with that structure you're talking about, the way that I always enter it in conversation is, you know, different in function equaling glory. You know, like, oh, I'm all about like equal rights and equal this, equal that. But like, no. The task dictates who's right for that task.
Correct.
Like women and men both have strengths, but like the task tells you who should be the one doing the task in a lot of different cases. But with what you're saying about relationships, it's always been something that I approach with lots of trepidation and respect, a little healthy fear, because that person's developmental, like the speed at which they can develop is going to impact my overall freaking accumulative score in life. And so like, it's like, I'm like 18 Byrons different, evolved from since the beginning of this year already. So
from
like
this year.
From this year. So it's like you have to choose someone who's on that same path. And I'd say the most important value has got to be like personal progress, because like you'll find yourself in this position where you're like a freaking eagle trying to take off, and the other person is like pecking around, like doing pigeon stuff, and that is a gigantic friction point. Like when we were talking about on the last one, man, getting those values to align is so important. But then the long-term value has to be that they are willing to be dedicated to progress.
You got to be willing. You and your partner have to be singing the same song from the start to the finish, and at the same simultaneously, as you said, working on your personal development. Each to their own right. What I need to work on, what you need to work on. Right. I'm going to work on making my strength stronger, but I'm also going to go down the hard route, and I'm going to work on my weaknesses too, because it's easy to work on my strengths.
Well,
I'm a bitch if I want to avoid my weaknesses and not work on my weaknesses, because if I work on my weaknesses, that only helps me evolve and become a better man and a stronger person, where I have a lot less or smaller weak points that don't expose me into whatever I need
to grow at. But then the other thing too, I dropped some heat on the stories yesterday, because a couple of my boys were talking to me about this, and I was just kind of like, in one of my psychology classes, my teacher was like, what do you guys think is the reason that people fall in and out of love? And I was just like, performance. And of course, I'm in a psychology class, so it's all females, and everyone's looking at me and they're just like,
oh yeah, listen to that.
They hated me. They were just like, this freaking guy, like everyone hated me, but I was like, performance. How did you attract your mate? Like, how did you start the relationship? You were performing like a mother. You were, where do you want to go to eat? I love this. You were agreeable. You were respectful. Like, that was your representative. How'd you get your job? Performance. And then what happens?
Time goes on, you get comfortable.
You get comfortable. You start phoning it in, and you're looking in the mirror, and you become a dependopotamus. And it's like, and then you see these people get divorced or they break up, male and female, and all of a sudden they're doing fitness competitions, and they're running around. And it's like, if you would have done that when you're in your relationship, maybe you would still be in a relationship if you were seeking your skin to know yourself.
You know what's
and
funny?
It's a two-way street, men and women.
Oh yeah,
it is. But you know what's funny, as you're saying that is they're blaming the other person, and that's why they're like all of a sudden going to these fitness competitions or wanting to now give themselves more attention.
Find myself now. Like, you should have found yourself. Like, should have came
motherfucker, you should have came to your partner and been like, I need to redefine myself. Help me get there.
Help me. Yeah,
like, why the fuck are you? And then like, but you're gonna rebel. Yeah. And once you step out of your relationship, you're gonna try to sound all high and mighty. And here's the thing:
like the other person was holding you back. Like they were like they had a gun to your head.
This shit, I know you guys are gonna appreciate this. This stuff fucking blows my mind. When one person is a certain way, lives by a certain moral conduct, performs a certain way, acts a certain way, speaks a certain way, right? And then like something drastic happens in their life, for example, maybe separating in a relationship. And then all of a sudden, They rebel against family. They rebel against their morals. They rebel from, their previous relationship, and they start doing all this wacky shit that's completely out of character.
Right.
Right. And then they want to pretend like I got it all figured out. I've worked on myself, and it's only been like 2 months.
They're just warming up. Yeah.
And then they try to pretend like I've got all my shit together. I'm living my best life. Positive vibe. I fucking hate that. Positive vibes.
Living my best
fuck
life.
Off.
Yeah.
Because it's just so pretentious.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to say positive vibes. But anyway, it's not getting carried away. And then they start attracting these new people that they would never associate with before. So now they're putting on an act.
Right.
And they're not just in person, but on social media. And it's like, motherfucker, do you think that all the fucking people that you were friends with, that have seen you, that know who you are, that they don't see this?
Yeah.
You think you might be fooling these new people that know nothing about your life from 3 months ago and beyond. But the people that know you, that's pretty fucking embarrassing. Like, who are you trying to fool? Like, we know who you are. This is not character. This is completely out of your moral conduct. And if you're doing this just to please yourself for external validations and appeals, and then people that don't matter, well, what happens when shit hits the fan?
Well,
and because you turned off the people that are like, dude, I don't know this person anymore, and I don't want to know this person anymore.
Yeah, and it may even be the things they've always wanted to do, while they're in the relationship. But the thing that I think the reason that when I see that I kind of feel bad for those people is because this world has a crazy system of checks and balances, man. Like, you go running out there thinking that, like, all the people that maybe we're trying to protect. And now there are some cases where, like, there's an abusive relationship with somebody who's, like, literally literally treating you like a slave. Like, we're not talking about the extreme, like, that conversation. I'm talking about usually when there's that separation and you see these big changes, and all of a sudden everyone's getting their stuff together, talking about finding themselves and all that stuff, like the other person was holding back. Like, maybe you always wanted to do these things, and maybe there was something there, but, like, this reality will reciprocate back to you contribution that's in reciprocation that's in direct contribution to that's directly in line with your contribution. So you can pretend all you want, like that pride comes before a fall thing. Pride is inaccurate confidence. Like, even when humans sense or hear pride, you instantly want to be like, I just want to show that guy he's not as hard as he thinks he is. But we don't. But, like, this reality, I always say, just watch those people, give them a year, and they get crushed.
Well, here's the thing.
It's not real.
It's the law of reciprocity.
That's what it is.
And the law of reciprocity will break you in half if you try to pretend to be something you're not.
Yeah, if it's built on sand, it's not going to last, bro. If
it's cement, it's it's funny that you said that, because that's actually on my new website. If it's built from sand, it's going to fall apart. If it's made out of cement, it becomes permanent.
Yep.
But the law of reciprocity is something I've always studied and I followed, because that used to be me a long time ago when I was a fucking piece of shit addict and a drug dealer. Like, I knew that one day my karmic debt is going to fucking come after me and fucking put me on the floor. Yeah. And that was the multiple suicidal attempts that I went, and I was like, okay, there's my awakening. It's time to make a change. Go ahead.
Do you find that one of the things I find to be kind of, I used to find it to be kind of troubling about reality is that so many people seem to be existing from that space of not believing in themselves and having all these kind of insecurities and things. And I have a lot of real compassion for them, because it's the human struggle. Yeah. But then when they see someone like you or me or any of us, they're like, oh, that's arrogance. And I'm like, I know it's rare. Right. I know it's rare. But I got here because I have a relationship with myself. This is confidence that comes from this is confidence that comes from experience.
Is there a fine line?
You know what I mean? Oh,
from confidence and arrogance?
There's a very thin line.
It's very thin.
You have to be scared. I'm scared of arrogance. I check myself all the time.
There's a thin line between, it's more supreme confidence. Forget confidence.
My man. So good.
My man. I was going to say something else. From the movie.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the channel. If you like what you saw today, find value in what you saw, please share with your friends and family.
And make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, and in the comment sections below, let us know which topics you would like us to cover in the future.